I was the front desk person here at the foundation, and then since we've started building this lab and getting it up and running, I've transitioned into being the manager. I was a graduate of the program at Coffee Creek facility that Kelly was a former director of. I'm just really excited and looking forward to being a part of the American Optometric Association and attending the optometries meeting in June. And we'll have some more exciting things to share after that.
So first, we want to tell you a little story about this picture because this picture made us really happy. This was my first day here, and we were setting up one of our edgers, and we had a vendor in from an organization called Santinelli, and we had been working about, at this point, I guess this is actually my second day, we've been working 12 or 13 hours a day before to get our stuff set up. And we hear this little noise, and we see this really sweet lady in her wheelchair just roll right into the lab. And if you've ever been to the foundation, our lab is down back by the bathroom. And so we thought someone let her in and told us where we were, because we're kind of in an obscure place. And she held up her glasses and said, "I need help, I can't see." So we started looking at her glasses and realized that they were progressives, and we were trying to figure out how to help her. And then come to find out, she actually was driving home to, where was she going? Yakima, Washington. 5-hour drive. And she couldn't see. So we were able to actually use the recycled glasses that get donated to put her lenses in to help her get home. And we were telling her all about the lab and what we were doing. And so she was our first visitor, and her name was Verna Wild, and she was very excited about the lab and looking around and checking it out. So this is the picture we took with Verna. And we like this. We're going to frame this and put this at our desk because it embodies how we feel like LEAP is going to help everybody. Even if it's something small, using recycled glasses to help, Verna get home so she can have a safe drive home.
So we want to know, or I'm sure a lot of you are asking, how is the new LEAP lab going to help your club save money? And our answer to that is we're going to help you serve more people. Just in the research that we've done and reaching out to various clubs and their sight and hearing chairs, we've heard that some clubs are paying anywhere from $60 to a couple $100 for one pair of glasses. And our promise to you is to be able to, for you, your sight and hearing chair and your club, with your funding available, to be able to provide glasses at these really low cost prices. We've got really high quality lenses and frames that we're offering you, and it's pretty exciting because regardless of the prescription, if the person's prescription is too high, some, as you know and as we know, some places charge a little bit more if their prescription is too high. Some of the vendors that we've worked with or practices have called us up. For instance, one provider called, and because the task force sight and hearing chair called us and said, "Hey, this person wants to charge us $170 for a pair of polycarbonate lined bifocals." Now, we offer standard plastic lenses, but in some cases, a patient may need polycarbonate lenses for various reasons. Usually it's because their eye, one eye, maybe they're blind in one eye, and they're left with one good eye. And with a pair of glasses, if they have plastic lenses, they're more likely to shatter, and so you wouldn't want to cause more harm to the good eye. And so polycarbonate lenses are more impact resistant. And so it was a case here where a gentleman did need polycarbonate lenses, and the place that he was going to was going to charge $169.99. And since the task force sight and hearing chair called us up to get our input, we figured why not go ahead and use this person as our first recipient in the LEAP lab, and we were able to make him his glasses for $40. We only charged the task force $40 for a pair of polycarbonate bifocal lenses.
The client was super excited, and we have a video we're going to show you in a few minutes of his glasses being made, but I just want you to think about how far, instead of paying $170, we were able to do it for a fraction of that price, and how many more people the club, or the task force in this case, could help to get that there. And we're going to later show you the frame so that everybody can see that. But even using some of the different voucher systems that some of the clubs are able to utilize, for example, New Eyes for the Needy, we've received numerous phone calls where people get down to Walmart with New Eyes for the Needy, and their prescription's a little bit higher, and Walmart's telling them, you're going to have to pay $25, up to one lady, it was like $150 extra just because her prescription was too high. Or we've had situations where people contact us because they were sent to Walmart with New Eyes for the Needy. I'm not picking on Walmart, it just happens to be who New Eyes for the Needy goes through. And they only had 3 frame choices, and none of them were quite big enough to hold a bifocal. So what we're hoping is that we can help all the clubs by making a really high-quality, low-cost pair of eyewear where people are going to have some really nice choices, because we need to be honest, if people don't like the frames, they're not going to wear them. I've seen that myself on sight missions when I was lucky enough to go to Vietnam. But this is an opportunity for them to have a really nice quality pair of glasses for a fraction of the price. So we would like to show you this video, and I apologize, once the video starts, if you ask any questions, Brenda can't type any answers to you. Brenda's here, say hello.
Hi everybody.
She's our silent partner right now. When she starts the video, if you ask a question, the video is about 6 minutes long. We can't answer you until the end or else it stops the video. And while we find it riveting, we don't know if you guys would like the delays. So we will start the video, and we're just going to kind of walk you through what's happening. Some of you that came to the webinar last time saw us make and show an example of our lab, but we were really excited to document our very first LEAP recipient. So this is the pair of glasses for the gentleman that needed the lined bifocals that we were able to make for $40. The very poor video is my fault. I couldn't get the camera to focus, so Katie's doing a really great job, and I'm fighting with the camera. And we sped this up and cut out certain parts, because the whole process from start to finish to make a pair of glasses, if it goes smoothly, can be about 20 minutes. And as much as we love the process, we didn't think you'd want to sit here for 20 minutes.
So what is that doing right there?
So right there, you see that pair of frames sitting in the machine. That's called the tracer. There's a stylus going around the inside rim of the frame, and as you can see, it's a metal frame. And it's just getting the shape of the lens there so we know what portion of the lens to cut.
The edgers that we have 2 edgers. They're called wet edgers. We made this lab here at the Foundation to mimic the one that I started at Coffee Creek, because our goal one day is to get some of the graduates to come out of that program when they release and get them here so that they can also get some outside work experience, maybe work part-time for a couple months, and we would love to work with them to try to help them in the job field and get them into permanent placing. Wet edgers use water, and they use a large wheel called a diamond wheel. What you see Katie doing here is she has spotted the lens, so we know exactly where the optical center is, and now she's blocking it. So the edger has told us what we need to do to decenter. That's my fine cinematography showing you the inside of the blocker. But what she's done is, optics is very precise down to millimeters. So the machine is telling us how far we need to go over to make this perfect for this gentleman.
So now the lens is coming out. It's been blocked, and that was the right lens there, and now I'm doing the same exact thing with the left lens. You put a block at the exact precise spot on the lens on each one. And then once I have placed the left lens in there and the block is on, you want to make sure that everything is aligned perfectly, that the block is on each lens symmetrically. As you'll see, I'll be comparing them. I use a PD ruler is what we call it. It's a ruler that uses millimeters as units of measure. And you just want to make sure that the inset of where, since this is a bifocal, you want to make sure that the bifocal is going to be placed at the correct spot within the frame. And to do so, you use a PD ruler to measure, to make sure that it's symmetrical and that everything's lined up perfectly.
And Doug Thompson, our executive director, is attending our webinar too, and he wants to make sure, because sometimes we get so excited to tell you about optics that we don't forget this, but that the clubs, we would love if your club wants to schedule a field trip to come out here to see the foundation office and to see the lab. We can show you and cut some stuff. We think it'd be really exciting too if you had your first recipient and somebody or people in your club could come out and you could help us make their glasses to see and be part of that process, since this is a pretty exciting thing. So just remember that, just let us know. We love visitors to come down here and see what we're doing. So please know that that's always an option. And one day, once we kind of get all the procedures out, we're going to have a nice opening ceremony that we hope everyone can come and attend. So what you see there is Katie's put the lens in the machine. And so I told you it was a wet edger. And that wheel that's spinning is a diamond wheel. It has crushed up diamonds on it, so it cuts it. It's amazing. It cuts it like butter. And the water goes on there, too. And we have a filtration system, so it's a tank and a pump box below. So we're using water, so it uses very minimal water, and we filter it to make sure that no particulates going into the streams when we clean it out. And that right there, what's happening there is it's actually putting the bevel. So if you notice on the wheel, once I actually focus the camera better, there's a groove, and so that's actually sitting the lens in that channel, putting that nice bevel so it sits perfectly in this gentleman's metal frame.
Yeah, so we're going to be edging mostly frames that will need that bevel on there. Some people, you may be familiar with semi-rimless frames. They're cut a little bit differently. You have to actually put a groove on the lens for the nylon cord to sit in and hold the lens in place within the frame. And now that right lens is cut, and we just want to make sure that it fits into the frame properly, and then it does, and so we're putting a safety bevel. The edge of the lens that is closest to the face, when it's cut, initially it's kind of sharp, and we would hate to, you know, if somebody gets hit by a ball, if that's got a sharp edge on it, it could put a nice little cut on the face or the cheek, and so we're putting what we call a safety bevel. It just kind of softens the edge of it, so it's not so sharp.
Katie on the video is making it look really easy. It's actually a lot harder than it looks, because if you don't hold the lens tight enough, it can fly out of your hand and shoot at you. If you hold it too tight on the wheel, you can actually mar up the lens. But the device she was using was called a handstone. So you didn't have to watch the whole thing. We repeat the process for the second lens with the spotting and the blocking. Everything that we do is done by hand, and a lot of care and love is put into each pair that we make. Again, my fine cinematography of focusing. With plastic, you can heat up the frame and we snap the lens in, but with metal, there's screws. So we have to take screws out and put screws in. And Katie's using something now called a deblocking plier. So she's pulling that block off, and that leaves that sticky pad. It's like a two-sided sticker that holds that on the lens. Optics is about precision. If the lens turns a couple millimeters in the machine when it wasn't supposed to, we have to start the process over.
So now I'm taking off those stickers and cleaning the lens, and making sure that everything was in line on axis, and it seems to be that it is, and that is a completed pair of bifocal glasses made for our first LEAP Lab recipient.
This gentleman that was our first LEAP Lab recipient, his name is Greg, and he signed paperwork, so we're allowed to say his name. We're not violating HIPAA. But he's actually going to come to the Portland Keep the Promise breakfast next week on Wednesday at 7 a.m. We hope that if you're in the Portland metro area, you would love to join us and come. Please call the foundation so that you can RSVP so that we know.
I just want to mention that that breakfast is happening at the Oregon Zoo. It's a really exciting location for us, and we would enjoy having everybody there.
And so he's going to actually come to the breakfast and talk about what that experience was like. And I didn't have the opportunity to fit him when he came back. Katie did. But the most fascinating thing, which you'll hear about at the breakfast, but he's actually a deep-sea fisherman and needs those glasses to do his livelihood. He was on a boat, which I'm sure you can imagine is sometimes dangerous, and he couldn't see to read the instrument panels or to look forward. He kept having to alternate between different pairs, and it was at some points unsafe for him.
Yeah, it was. He couldn't afford having a pair of bifocal glasses, and that's why he went through his Lions Club. When he was working on the boat, he was having to switch from his single vision glasses to see far away, and then when he had to see the fish monitor to see, you know, where all those sturgeon and I don't know, whatever is in the Pacific Ocean, salmon, to be able to see them on the fish monitor, he had to switch to his reading glasses. And so when he's trying to steer the boat, he was saying how difficult it was for him and how this new pair of bifocal glasses, he won't have to do that. So.
He actually was from Garibaldi, but that area fell into the task force, and so that's why he got involved with Gary Charbonneau to obtain help because of where he was located and his address is. So I'm sure you're thinking, wow, that video was amazing, this is really exciting, but what's the nitty-gritty? How is this going to happen, and how is this going to help us? And again, we love feedback, so if you have any feedback, we would love to hear it, because ultimately we're providing a service for you and your club. We want to make this as amazing as possible.
So you're going to see up on the screen here in a minute a lot of words. This is some procedures that Kelly and I and Karis and Brenda here at the foundation have sat down. We've reached out to sight and hearing chairs, club treasurers, just to see how we can streamline this process, make it as easy as possible. We don't want to make too many changes with how this process is going to work with you using our lab. And so if you look up on your screen now, you'll see at the very top it says Optical Finishing Lab, Sight and Hearing Procedures. So this is just a step-by-step, super easy, black and white, how the sight and hearing chair is going to partner with our lab.
And what we did is we put the whole form on there just for you to look at. And we're going to brief upon each point, but we're not going to read it line by line for you. But if you're interested in us mailing you the documents that we're showing so you can actually see them and maybe share them with your club, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to mail these to you. And also, if you're coming to the state convention on Saturday at 3 o'clock, we're part of the Sight and Hearing Chair Forum, and we're hopeful that people more than just the sight and hearing chairs will come. Maybe the club treasurer or other lions who are really excited and want to take this information back to their club. Katie and I will be doing a presentation along with Kiris where we talk about some of the different programs, how we can help. So there's that. And then down the road, Katie and I are more than happy to try to come out to clubs and talk to different people and your providers, which we'll hit upon. But just know that we're just an email or phone call away, and if you want us to come out, we will take the Katie Kelly Show on the road to come out and help you out here.
One of the other resources we have for some of these documents is we're going to post them on our website, and then we'll go ahead and do some additional announcements. And we're also going to send some emails out with attachments so that the club presidents and club sight and hearing chairs are receiving it directly.
So this form here just starts with the step one of how your client goes about this. So they call the referral line to the Lion Service referral line.
And then just as usual, you will send the applicant the LEAP application, which we'll show you in a few slides from now. The LEAP application, from just initially, it looks exactly the same. There are a couple of things that we took out, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. But just so you know, you'll still receive the LEAP application. Make sure that all of the sections are filled out completely, and we ask that you send the completed LEAP application along with all of their documents proving their income to us at the foundation. And once we get that, we make sure everything's right. We will then, you can send it via fax, via email, or you can mail it to us, and you can see those addresses there. And then step 5, once you receive the confirmation from us that there's available funding, which we'll talk about here in a second, then we'll go ahead and proceed with the process.
We're really excited to tell you more about the way that we want to charge the different clubs. Do you want me to mention that now? Or sure. So what our idea is to make it easier on everybody, is we're going to start almost like think of it as a tab system. So your club, let's say you guys have a pancake feed and you come up with and decide that you have $500 that you want to designate for sight and hearing at this time. And you decide that specifically that money needs to go for eyeglasses because you're getting a lot of requests. You can send your $500 check to the foundation, and then we're going to make your club an account, and we put a $500 credit on your account. When we get your application, and as Katie said, we'll show you that in a minute, and it's checked that you're interested in using the LEAP Lab, we will pull up your account to make sure that you have enough money in the account to pay for the glasses, which, again, the prices are $30, $40, and $50. after we make the glasses, because once we get it, it's going to make it a lot faster process because we're not going to be waiting for payment. It's not going to delay anything. It's going to be a very, very quick process. Once we make the glasses, at the end of the month, we will send you an invoice every month, like a statement that will show your club whose money came out. So let's say you helped Brenda Anderson. It will show that you had $500 that you helped Brenda Anderson with a pair of trifocals for $50, and so your remaining balance is a $450 credit. This will be really nice because then your clubs know exactly where you're at with money. It's going to make the process go a lot faster. And we think that it's a great way. We've heard some club feedback that we've talked to where they said, well, we had this much that we wanted to use, and then other things happened. And so we use that money elsewhere. Sorry, we're doing a little shuffle. So we're hopeful, and we would also like to get feedback on what you think about that part. The next part, let me bring up one other thing that was very exciting that Hank Calhoun had brought up. Because this is a foundation program, Hank, when we had meetings with him, he was in one of our meetings, he said, what if I have somebody who wants to make a donation in my club's name, but just for eyeglasses? So what we were able to come up with is if Hank himself, we'll just use him as an example, wants to donate $500 in support of his club for the LEAP lab, he can do that through the foundation because it is coming through the foundation. It's a foundation program, and he will get the letter because it's a 501c3. That does not mean that if the club just makes a donation, but if individuals for clubs want to, because he said that he's had instances of friends that have said, well, I would love to buy people glasses, but I can't get the tax write-off for that. So we're pretty excited about this opportunity, too, that if you yourself or people in your club or people that know your club want to put money towards the LEAP lab to get glasses, they can get that tax benefit, which is pretty exciting for a lot of people. The next step is a step that we're implementing that we'd really like to get a lot of feedback on this. This is a step that actually we were a little concerned with in the beginning, so we didn't want to rock anyone's boat. But the feedback that we've gotten from zone chairs and district governors and different lions has been very, very positive, in that once your application, we get it and we tell you you have enough money, you're going to help your client go to whatever provider you've been using that you have that partnership with. And the club is going to pay the provider however you've always paid the provider. That's between you and your provider. What's going to happen is when your client goes to get the fitting, whether it's to that provider, I know some clubs are using that optometrist, or some of them I've heard are using Jerry's Optical in McMinnville. He's a lion. But let's say your patient's going elsewhere. Whoever we've networked with and worked with, there's going to be a $20 copay that your patient is going to be responsible for, and they are going to pay that to the provider. The reason that we're doing this is it's going to help the provider. Since we're asking the provider to help be partners with us to do a fitting for eyeglasses, and we're asking them to use some of their staff time, we've really tried to make the process as streamlined as possible, which we'll talk about in a little bit about our frame choices and our lens choices. But the $20 copay we felt was a very fair fitting fee. And on the actual LEAP application that you'll see in a few minutes, there's actually a part that tells the patient very clearly that they are responsible for this $20 fitting fee. I've talked to numerous doctors around the Oregon area. I've talked to people from Medford to Portland to the coast area, and the doctors I've all talked to felt that the $20 was a very, very reasonable fee from a nonprofit to help somebody, because it helps a little chair time. I've also talked with lots of different people, and they felt that if people have a little bit of skin in it, that people often tend to treat their glasses better. They take better care of them. And we were working with our vendor that we're using for lenses, and he was explaining that the Georgia Prevent Blindness Council charges everybody a flat $25 fee just to have that fitting. So we felt that this was something we wanted to implement to help keep the cost down for you, but to also have people be responsible for their glasses. And I'm sure that some people are saying, well, what if they really can't pay that? Shelley just typed, what can the club pay for the fitting fee? You sure can. The thought was that a lot of people can do it. You know, I have a really good friend that's an eye doctor down in Medford, and he was telling me how he does the most incredible charitable work to help people. And he was saying how sometimes it can get kind of disheartening as he provides free services for people, and they come in and they smell of cigarette smoke, or they're on their phones or they're doing these things and they're complaining that they can't pay for anything. Sometimes people need to prioritize, and we're not here to judge people or to help them do their certain lifestyle things. What we're just trying to do is make this a really affordable option. So we're going to come up with some procedures here that will be emailed out to anyone who's interested, that we're going to use as guidelines on if they really truly cannot afford to pay it. If it's somebody, for example, who lives in a homeless shelter and has absolutely no income coming in and they're in a really hard time in their life, our first step is going to be probably to work with the sight and hearing chair to see if the club wants to help pay for it or they want to go in halves with the foundation. We also at the foundation are, Katie and I can fit and dispense because we're opticians and we're very comfortable with that process. So even if a client comes to the foundation for a fitting, we're still charging the $20 fee. The reason being is that we want this to be fair. Anybody throughout the state who goes anywhere is implementing, we have this $20 fee. And then when the foundation collects the $20 fee, we can put that back into the lab to help keep providing services. Or we can also have it to be there as kind of a scholarship fund for people who truly cannot afford to pay the fee. But if clubs feel very comfortable because the pricing is awesome and you guys feel like you can still help people, you definitely can get that fee. If they really can't do it, we can work with you to help you. I'll let Katie talk because I'm sure you're tired of my voice now.
Yeah, we've discussed the $20 copay. On the next slide, or if you see at the very bottom of this piece of paper here, it says, under most circumstances, should there be no additional cost to your club for glasses due to higher prescriptions. And we wanted to put this in writing because just as Kelly mentioned earlier about, I mentioned it earlier about the provider that wanted to charge extra money for a higher prescription. That wouldn't be the case. We have a great relationship with our vendor who, because Kelly and I have worked with him in the past at Coffee Creek Correctional Facility, he's giving us a really great price on lenses, and he said even if it's out of range, if it's not, if the prescription is high, he's going to charge us the same amount. You know, it's not fair. Just because somebody is a minus 675 doesn't mean they should pay more money, or the club should have to pay more money. One thing that could come into play, which there might be additional charges, is if the doctor prescribes an actual upgrade to the lenses. For instance, if the client needs a tint because they're sensitive to light, the doctor has to write that in the prescription, and we would communicate with the doctor when we receive that order if it's actually necessary.
And we've had a couple cases already where we've had a couple clubs call us just to ask and say, you know, the provider that they're getting these glasses from, they've called and they've said that this person has to have this, or this because it's a medical thing, but it's not on the prescription. Is that something that's needed? And unfortunately, sometimes in the optical field, especially in the dispensing portion, it's a lot about upselling people, and sometimes patients can misunderstand what is an upsell and what is necessary. As Katie was saying, there are cases of people who are photophobic, meaning they're sensitive to light. It's really, really painful for them. And so in that case, a tint or a gradient tint might be really warranted. But if someone's just sitting there and somebody's trying to sell them on a new blue tint to help reduce glare on electronics, that's not necessarily something that's a mandatory thing. That's more of a convenience or an upsell. So there's been a couple times where we've been able to contact the vendor, just kind of ask a bit more questions and find out that it wasn't a necessary thing. It was an upsell, and the client was contacting their sight and hearing chair and saying, well, I think I need to get more money for this. So if you guys ever have questions, regardless if your club decides that the Leap Lab's great for you at this point, but if you ever have questions and you're like, I'm not sure about this, Katie and I are definitely here to answer any questions that you have to help your club out. So the next slide is just what the form is. Katie did a really nice job of revamping this form.
As you can see in section 1, we've omitted the racial and heritage background information. That's what we had previously, just to get some more information when we're applying for grants and stuff. That's no longer necessary. So one less step that the client has to do. In section 2, where it asks about insurance and financial information, we make it very clear, as you see on the right-hand side in the the farthest column to the right, says you must verify your total income by presenting all of the following that you receive. Some of the applications that we vet that come through the foundation, the client will just submit their food stamp benefits when in fact maybe they are receiving Social Security or maybe they do have pay stubs. We want to see all verifiable income that they're receiving. And then and at the bottom of that it says the Lions Club volunteer requires documentation to verify your financial situation. We wanted to make it as easy as possible on the site and hearing chair when they're going through this form and making sure that the client filled everything out. You know, it'll eliminate hopefully some phone calls. Another thing too is we ask that the clients don't just send in a photocopy of their EBT card that doesn't show an expiration date. It doesn't have the client's phone number. We actually need the letter written out from DHS that shows what their food stamp benefits or SNAP benefits are. And then at the bottom of Section 2, there is a line added that says you are required to check with your insurance provider regarding vision coverage within your plan. If you do not have insurance, you are required to seek out insurance eligibility before applying with your Lions Club. And we've run into a few issues where you know, somebody will apply through our LEAP program and then come to find out they actually are able to get vision coverage through their insurance provider. We put this in writing so that it's on the actual client to make sure that they're doing their homework and we don't want to exhaust our resources. We don't want to waste your time as a sight and hearing chair. You know, we don't want to waste funding on somebody that could have actually gotten vision coverage to their provider, maybe through Medicare. If they have diabetes, they can get an exam. Let's see. Another thing that we added on the back side of the LEAP application is in Section 4, asking telling the applicant to sign their name there and that they're in agreement to pay that $20 copay at the time of their fitting. The charge is to go to the provider, and the club is not to pay it unless they can provide sufficient documentation that shows that they have zero income. And again, Kelly and I will send out some guidelines that we can use that demonstrates what type of income qualifies for not having to pay that $20 copay. And then just to make it clear, we've added, you know, now you see it's Section 5 for the Lions Club contact information. The client is to not write in that area. We receive some applications that people fill out and it's just randomly mailed to us and there's nothing written in Section 5. We need to make sure that they get your contact information by sending it to you. And then at the very, very bottom of Section 5, it says, please check here if using OLSHIF's or Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation's optical program in the LEAP lab. We're asking you as a sight and hearing chair to make it very clear that we have set up a partnership with your provider and that and this would already be determined. We want you to check that box if you want to use our LEAP lab because we do use some outside agencies such as Vision USA and New Eyes for the Needy and LensCrafters voucher system, and we will use the same form, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you want to use the LEAP lab. So if we have a partnership with your provider and you want to have your provider order the glasses through us, then go ahead and check that line right there.
And by you checking that line, that also tells us when we get this that we want to look at your account, as we were talking about earlier, to make sure that you have the funding in your club account on your credit, so that once we get the actual order form from your provider, we can just get going and get this to your clients quickly. And the next slide we're going to look at is actually what we're going to provide providers. Oh, nope, I fibbed you. This is actually the monthly statement. So as we were just talking about the monthly statement, when your account makes a credit, that just kind of shows you what you're going to get at the end of the month to show you which patients you've helped, the cost for each of those. And then at the bottom it says your current balance, which is your current credit. So in this example, the Oregon Coast Lions Club has an $1,800 credit, $1,810 to be precise. So that way their sight and hearing chair and their treasurer, and when they have their monthly meetings, they look at that and they know that when they're picking people that they are able to help through their resources, that they have $1,800 to buy glasses with. So now we have procedures for the providers. And this is something that when you go to speak to your providers, if you would like to hand them this information to kind of introduce it. Some clubs have really great relationships with their providers or the office managers, which is kind of the people that run everything. And some clubs don't know the providers very well or use a lot of different people. But we are more than happy to introduce this concept to your provider, to work with people, to meet with people. We were asked the question if there's been any opposition from providers for this. And the cases, the few that we've talked to so far have been very on board. They feel that the $20 fitting fee is very fair because they see how we've really reduced the amount of time it's going to take as far as selections and choices, which we'll go over in a bit. But I am sure, I'm just going to be honest, I'm sure that there's going to be some providers that might not be that willing to work with us. I have heard cases of providers charging people. One club I was talking to, they were being charged $340 for a pair of lined bifocals. And they did it. And I can tell you that there's an incredible amount of profit when you look at the fact that we could have made those for $40. That provider is making a significant profit. There are so many different providers or dispensaries out there that are really taking a hit when they help out the different clubs. They're barely making anything, if not. It's a lot of time in there because there's the frames, and then if they don't have enough frames for kind of lower income. So our hope is that they don't see this as competition. Our hope is that they see this as a faster way. And truth be told, if you can buy more glasses for people because the prices are cheaper, you also are going to be able to send more people to sit in the doctor's chair and pay the exam fee. So we think that a lot of doctors are going to kind of make up and get extra compensation because they're going to have more people in the chairs because the prices are more affordable, which means we can help more people. But when we roll this out to providers, we are more than happy to talk to the people for you. But some clubs might have a great relationship and want to introduce this. But our hope is that everyone who gets on board with us, all the providers, we will personally contact them and be in good work with them. So what you have here is just the provider procedures that are just like the ones that you looked at for the sight and hearing chairs. So that they're going to receive the patient's name and services from the Lions Club, so they've already had an established relationship with the club. They're going to determine if the patient needs an exam in glasses or glasses only. There are some people that come to the clubs who only need glasses, they don't need an exam, and in that case, they know how to help. If there is an exam fee, they'll work with your local club to get that and schedule the patient. They are going to accept the $20 copay to compensate for the fitting. So again, we have told the patients that we want that to be compensated or paid at the time of the fitting, not when they pick up the glasses, but when they go to pick them out. If your practice doesn't want to, so if your doctor says, or your optical place you work at says, you know what, we don't need the $20 fitting fee, we just love to help Lions, we really believe in what you guys do, that's fantastic. We're asking them, if that case, if they can still take it just so it's equitable across the street, and then they can apply it towards the cost of an exam for your club the next time you guys have a thing there. So that way it's just, again, helping to help you guys help more people. Once they go ahead and do that, they're going to have a kit. So we're going to show you that in a minute. It's a really nice kit with just 9 choices. Each frame comes in 2 different color choices, so technically there's 18. There's 3 lens types that they can get, single vision, lined bifocal, or a lined trifocal, which is also called a 7x28. And then all the lenses that we're going to cut are just going to be clear plastic, unless the doctor says that for some reason the person needs polycarbonate, as the case that Katie was talking about, if maybe one eye is damaged, polycarbonate is needed to protect the good eye that they have.
Yeah, so then we're making it super easy. We will have inventory of all the frames here at the lab. So as soon as we get that order from the doctor, as you see in step 5, they can send it by a secured email or by fax. We will receive the order, and depending if we have the lens in stock or not, if we have to order out from our vendor, usually if it's a single vision, there's more than likely we have it in stock. If it's a bifocal or trifocal, we'd have to order, and that can add an additional week or so on to the process. But it's still as quick as it can be. So once we receive the lenses, we'll make them, and as soon as they're done, we'll ship them back to the provider. It'll be in a hard case with a cleaning cloth, and it goes back to the provider for them to call the patient and dispense the glasses to them.
And our lab is going to offer a 6-month warranty on the frame. Just like most labs, we're not going to warranty the lenses because just from experience at the prison, we've had people who drop their glasses on the blacktop or step on them or do whatever, and then they get really scratched, and they say, well, I want a brand new pair because these are scratched. Well, they're a medical device. You have to take care of them. But if something does happen to your frame, because that happens, no questions asked, we're going to replace that for free for 6 months. And if the doctors have a redo, we will provide one free redo at the provider's request. If you've never had to experience that, it can be quite frustrating. Sometimes when people get eye exams, there's objective and subjective exams, and sometimes, when the doctor says number 1 or number 2 or number 1, the person picks at that time, but maybe when they get their glasses, everything's not as crisp as they were thinking, or in some cases their prescription's kind of altering. I've seen cases of doctors who the person needed a really strong prescription, and at first they thought that they would make it a little bit less because they don't want to kind of hurt the person's brain at first. It takes a little bit of getting used to it. But we just have different cases where a lot of places won't do a doctor redo. They make the patient pay for that. And so we were actually, I was talking with Gil Lecrin out in Newport about this, and so we're going to do one doctor redo at the provider's request. So if a doctor calls and says, hey, this was off or I did this, we're just going to go ahead and redo those lenses for free. Again, our whole point in this is to really help the clubs out and make this a really great process for everybody, the provider, the patient, and the club. And as the star says there, if there's any special circumstances, we ask that the provider contact us, and that way we can get in touch with the sight and hearing chair to explain, if the provider says, gosh, this person really needs anti-reflective coating because of this. That way we can just call the sight and hearing chair. We will never order anything and charge you extra without talking to your sight and hearing chair.
So a lot of you are wondering, what's next for my club and my provider? How do I get started, and how is this going to look when it's in progress? So just as usual, your client's going to go to your local optometrist for their exam. And a lot of you have really great relationships with your current provider, and you have a predetermined cost for the exam. That's going to go as is. So once the client goes to the provider for their exam, then they will either get fitted there at the provider, or you'll send them to an independent optician such as Jerry's Optical. They'll do the fitting there, and at that point is when the client pays for their fitting. In this picture here, you see that's our very first recipient. That's Greg from Garibaldi, and I'm fitting him for his glasses. We did his fitting here at the foundation. We still collected his $20 copay. He did it without hesitating, and it went really well. Wherever you send your clients for their fitting, whether it's at the actual doctor's office where they had their exam or the independent optician, the client will pay the $20 copay, and that place that does the fitting will have this kit here. We call it a kit. It's got 9 frame choices. There's about 3 choices specifically for women, a couple of unisex frames, and 3 frames just for men. They're all offered in 2 different colors. We chose these 9 frames. They're great in the size of the frame. So if somebody's got a really petite head, then they're going to find something for them. If they've got a wider face, then they're going to find something for them.
We also limited it because I don't know if you've ever gone to buy eyeglasses or if you've ever watched people buy eyeglasses, but the longest part of the process is when people pick their frames. I know that when I've gone, I can seriously stand in front of a frame board for an hour and try everything on. And so with this, it's 9 nice choices, as Katie was saying, different sizes, shapes, and materials. And by keeping it as a limited thing, it helps us because we can buy bulk of those ones. But it also helps the provider because, as you see, we put it in this nice kit. And these kits will also be at state convention, or if you invite us to come talk to your club, we'll bring a kit so you can pass them around and try them on. Feedback we've gotten from many Lions is that they actually would love to buy some of the frames in this kit. But what this also does is it's really compact, so it's not going to take up a lot of space in the doctor's office. They don't have to put these frames on their frame board, because in the optical world, frame board displays real estate. It's precious commodity up there. They can put this under the sink or in a drawer, in a desk drawer, until their Lions client comes in. By limiting it to 9 frames, it makes the process go faster. By letting them only know that they can have single vision, bifocal, or trifocal, it makes it go faster, and it also, the lens material. So when we were talking earlier about the $20 fitting fee and coming up with ways to kind of streamline this process for the providers, this is one of the ways that we did that.
So they'll pick out their glasses, choose what lens material they need, and then the provider will fill out this form here. We will, as soon as we get on board with your provider, we'll send them all the documents that they need. The provider will have this lab order form, and it's just got, you know, they put in the prescription information, the frame, what the frame that the client chose. Very easy. They can fax it to us, or they can email it to us securely, or if they choose to, they can send it in the mail. But then once they send us the form, we make the glasses, and then there's a completed pair of glasses there with the brand new cleaning cloths that we have branded with our optical program there, and our lion with the glasses.
If you have a name for our lion, we're still trying to come up. Some people said Leon or Leo, but we're still open for suggestions. But we love our little guy there. And on the previous one with the frame, the vendor doesn't send us the frame. We have all of those frames in stock here, so it's not going to cost them any extra money. They just write down it's going to be the Belong frame, or it's going to be James in the color, and we have all of those here in our storage closet.
So we ship them back to the provider, and the provider calls the client to have them come pick up the glasses. In this case, this was Greg, our first recipient, so we just called him, and he came from Garibaldi back to the foundation for us to dispense the glasses to him, and he was very happy. So once they're dispensed, then your club treasurer and your sight and hearing chair will be mailed a monthly statement that we showed you earlier, showing your club's account balance or credit, and the descriptions of each order processed through the lab. We want you to see each month the people that you served specifically and what they got, and then how much money you have left to help so many people. So you're wondering how to get involved. Contact us. Give us a call. Email us. You can call Kelly. You can email her at kelly@olshift.org. There's other contact information right there.
There it goes.
There we go. You can call, email me or Kelly, and we'll get you set up. We can talk to your provider if you want us to, mail you documents, whatever you want.
And also down there we have the Leap Lab at olshf.org. That is a new email address that we created that both Katie and I have access to. That way, if things come in, and let's say I'm out, I'm going to be having a baby in September, and we'll be out for about a month and a half. If someone sends me an email that way, if it went to Leap Lab, Katie or I have access to check that. We're curious if you have any questions. We have about 8 minutes left. If anybody wants to type up any questions, we can answer them for you. We'd also love to get any feedback from you guys on what you guys think of the kits or the fitting fees. So far, everything we've heard has actually been pretty positive.
Why don't you go ahead and address? We did have a question here. One of the individuals asked if we had spoken with a provider they used. It's a corporate provider, America's Best, and they were indicating that they've been paying a certain rate. I think it's $69 for single vision and maybe $99 for double vision for that, but that was not including an exam fee. Did you want to?
So Dick Gay asked that. He's going to be the new task force chair, and or he was. I'm so sorry, Dick. You did a great job. You should come back and do it again sometime. But you know what's interesting is we've been working with Gary, and we actually called America's Best because we were trying to understand. We were going to make the glasses for them instead of them, and we were trying to understand what the fee was. And what we were told by them is that their special that they have is actually $69 for 2 pairs of glasses, and that the club's only authorized 1 pair of glasses, which was $60. So the club was paying $60 for 1 pair plus $45 for an exam fee. Their special is kind of, if you buy the package of 2, then you get an exam. And so I kind of said to the lady, so let me understand this. If they paid $9 more, they'd get a 2nd pair of glasses and not have to pay for a fee. And she was like, yes. So I'm not 100% sure. We're trying to kind of work with Gary and kind of look into that. But we do know that there's been some people where they're, in addition to the fee for the glasses, are being charged for the exam. And sometimes when you go to those kind of big box stores, nothing wrong with them. They serve and help a lot of people. But sometimes it's all about upselling, and if you don't follow through with the exact package, there's kind of hidden fees. which I kind of think might be happening right now. We're trying to kind of work with Gary on that.
Yeah, and some of you might be thinking, well, I'm already getting a really good deal with my doctor right now. They're not making any profit. You know, maybe the slab isn't the best choice for your club. Maybe you are only paying $100 total for the exam and glasses, or $75. And we'd be more than happy to still work with that provider. But if you want to, you know, continue working with them, we're not forcing any club to choose working with our lab. We're just here. We're offering our services and provide glasses at a really low cost to the clubs that are getting charged a really high amount for glasses.
And that's just what Katie said. We're here. We don't ever want any clubs to feel like we're here to tell them that they have to use us. We hope that you're excited to use us, and maybe it doesn't fit right now, maybe it will in the future. We're just here. The foundation worked really hard on this concept just to be another tool in your toolbox, just another resource to help give the gift of sight. I think that this lab is going to help some clubs tremendously in the beginning. We've heard of clubs that are paying $250 for a pair of single vision eyeglasses and paying $125 on top of that for a fee for the exam. So there are some clubs, I think, that are going to be able to help more people because they're going to get reduced rate of eyeglasses, so they can send more people to the eye doctor.
One of the other questions we just got here was, will there be any delay from the lab to the provider? So getting eyeglasses back to the provider for that fitting.
No, as Katie said earlier, we have about 2,000 single vision stock lenses in a system right now. And our hope is that if it's single vision, we might be able to cut it the day we get the order. Sometimes those certain prescriptions are out of range, or if it's a bifocal or a trifocal, our vendor has to make that. Our vendor is on the East Coast. That's who was really excited to work with us, and they work with the Georgia Prevent Blindness Council as well. And so our biggest delay is usually ordering it from the lab. There will be cases, just like with anything, I might mess up making a pair of glasses. I'm a person, and we have to reorder. We're going to try not to make mistakes. But our hope is that once we get the order, we hope that we can get the pair of glasses out in a week, if not 2 weeks.
All right.
Thanks for the question.
Absolutely. And looking, we don't have any more questions that are outlined there, but if you think of any additional questions or comments that you'd like to send our way, the email addresses are on the screen there. And we did have another one just come in. How soon can we start this program? Email
or call us today, and we can start tomorrow. We would be more than happy to contact your provider. We initially were rolling this out very slow. We were picking a different club out of each zone, out of each district, so that we could kind of start slow to work the kinks out. And we've kind of been working with different clubs to get feedback and the procedures and everything we're doing. But if your club's ready to come on board, we'd be more than happy to have you be one of kind of the first ones that we're working with. So we'd love to hear from you, Jean. Thank you.
And again, as I was saying, any other questions that come up, we do have several events that are going to be happening over the next month where there's going to be a lot of additional information. We are going to be putting together an open house so that Lions from throughout the state can come and visit the lab and our offices and learn more about what we're doing. We will be at State Convention. Again, when is that site and hearing chair?
It's on Saturday at 3 o'clock, so please stay for it.
Yeah, and if I'm just throwing this out there, if you are planning on coming to Keep the Promise breakfast, we are planning on coming back here to the office that morning and afternoon. So call us ahead of time or email us and let us know if you want to come check out the lab.
And also check out Katie and Melinda in the hospitality suite at the convention. Kay, you'll be there, and she can answer some questions for you there too.
It's luau themed, so make sure you wear your Hawaiian shirts and grass skirts.
All right, everybody, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this webinar. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.